I promised a few fellas that I would make a video on the subject matter of hoes that want to wait for marriage. And maybe the term hoes is a little harsh, but what I mean by that for anyone who expects clarity, what I mean by that, the term hoes, is females that are fucking for free, fucking a lot of dudes for free. Because that's what hoes do. That's the difference between a hoe and a whore. See, a whore fucks for money, and hoes fuck for free. So, hoes that want to wait for marriage are females who are doing a lot of fucking for free. They're not being paid, right? And they're fucking, but they're not getting paid to fuck. So they're just fucking because they like to fuck, obviously. And they fuck a lot. And they fuck a lot of different dudes. Usually degenerate thug type of dudes, um, reprobates, social reprobates, thugs, degenerates, deadbeats, guys that a lot of females find alluring and attractive for various reasons. Usually people who just buck authority, buck societal norms and values, and motherfuckers who just don't give a shit about anything. It's just all about them. They gonna start some shit. You have a lot of females who find that attractive. Um, these particular females, they are convoluted as far as alpha male traits. Uh, these males display those traits, but they're convoluted because, for the most part, they haven't been raised properly. And what I mean by properly is raised in a loving environment, a two-parent household or home, properly reared, etc., etc., etc. So, you have a lot of women who have sex with those type of dudes, and a lot. Buck wild sex. I mean, the degenerate males, they're fortunate because they are the ones receiving this buck wild freaky sex from a lot of the females, a lot of the ladies out there. And they don't really have to pay anything. I'm not saying it's totally for free. I mean, the cat may purchase the weed that they smoke together. He may purchase the liquor that they drink together, may purchase the movie ticket or what have you. So it's not entirely, for free. But compared to that nice guy who gets with that particular female, later on in life, of course, he has to pay. He will pay. And agreeing with many of those guys, it's very unfair. Because when these females are spring chickens, boobs sticking out all nice, firm, toned, defined, they got ass, hips, they're cool. And the degenerate dudes get them when they're like that. The degenerate dudes get to live out the fantasy. But after a good 15, 20 years of that type of living, that type of experience with these type of males, that particular female, and she's eating bad, and she's wearing cosmetics, toxic cosmetics, her fashion is insalubrious, she just toe up after 15 to 20 years of that type of living, and it's really not living, it's really dying, it's indirect suicide, it's gradual suicide. But after 15, 20 years of living like that, she got love handles, stretch marks, cellulite, put on weight, a whole bunch of weight, hair fall out, Usually she gets juiced up with 2, 3, or 4 children by these degenerate males, so something else between her legs is stressed out, She's just not the same anymore, And she may not completely let herself go, but, she's not going to be that dime type of female that she was 15, 20 years ago before she got with Mr. Right. When Mr. Right comes on the scene, Mr. Right is a male. He's a good guy. He's a male. Usually has a good job, a head on his shoulder. He paid the cost to be the boss. And he can take care of her in ways that the thug degenerate dudes would not have, and really was not expected to do so. But Mr. Good, Mr. Right, he's the exception. And the trip thing about Mr. Right, the good fella, the good guy. That type of guy, or those type of guys who are known to finish last in our society. Um, the good guys, when they come on the scene, they have to do things that Mr. Bad did not have to do, was not expected to do. And Mr. Right, Mr. Good does it. But again, he's a male. He's a man. He has a penis. He has a lingham. He has a dick, and the dick get hard. And he's a man. Basically, people, it's like this. He wants the same buck wild, freaky sex that the degenerate dudes got 10, 15, 20 years ago. He's no exception to the rule in that respect. Really. He wants to be the star of his own porn with his hoe. Now, the female is not limited to just being a hoe, but when it comes to sex, he prefers her to morph into a hoe. Because usually a lot of these women, after they trick around, hoe around for all these years, they end up going to church and getting saved. They're saved in the Lord now. So, they then got in the back of a pickup and suck a dick up to the hiccup. But then they find the Lord, and they don't do things like that anymore. And they've been around the block, with degenerate dudes, and made porn, and they've been in menage a trois, and they did anal sex and oral, all the stuff that people are watching on porn. And Mr. Good, Mr. Right, he's watched that stuff as well too, and he's a man. I'm quite sure he's fantasized, so he wants to experience some of those things. And the woman he gets with has a history in doing a lot of those things, if not all of those things. So hell, he don't want her to be an outright hoe. But when it comes time to the sexual intimacy, then he wants his lady. And that's cool. And he's cool if she is saved in the Lord. That's cool. She can be saved in Christ. But, behind closed doors, she's saved in Christ. But, oh boy, he still wants his dick sucked, all right? He wants to fuck. He wants, titties knocking and popping. He wants doggy style. He wants to hit it. He wants to be the star of his own porn with his woman. So he doesn't mind that she's into the Lord, but behind closed door, he wants her to be a hoe and satisfy his sexual fantasies and sexual need just for that moment. Then, when she comes out of the room, she can wipe the semen off and all that little stuff that may be going on, and, put her makeup on, put her dress on, grab her Bible and go to church. He's cool with that. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of these fellas because they're out there and they're upset, and a lot of these guys don't really know that there are a lot of self-help resources out there that can help them to really speed up that situation. A lot of these guys are waiting 15, 20 years for this particular type of female. It doesn't really have to be that long. And they also don't have to get upset, because a lot of these males are very upset. They're very upset about the whole situation. Meeting women who have a history of hoeing around, and they hook up with them, and it's a connection. But the particular female, she don't want to go around the block like she used to with those thug degenerate dudes. When it comes to Mr. Good, Mr. Right, she tells him she wants to wait. She wants to wait and get married before she has sex with Mr. Good, Mr. Right. She wants to wait. The man who's going to take care of her, and usually her children, 2, 3, 4, 5 children that came from that type of living years ago, Mr. Right, Mr. Good has to take care of those children and pay the rent and just really be the ideal male to the best of his ability or abilities. But he has to wait. He's expected to wait. He's a man too. He wants buck wild freaky sex. He wants to be like those dudes 10, 15, 20 years ago. He wants to experience that as a male. He's better qualified. He's a better specimen than these thug degenerate type dudes. But she doesn't make it easy for him like she did for them. The men who dogged her out, she made it easy for them. That's who dogged her out, and she made it easy for them. But the dude that's coming in her life and is damn near, the knight in shining armor to rescue her, usually from herself, her poor choices, um, her inability to be accountable for her actions and therefore her choices, he has to come along and be that shining knight. And he has to deal with a lot of drama too. He has to deal with a lot of past relationship residuals. He has to deal with that. And he will. Because, yeah, he may love her, but number two, he wants something, usually sexual. So he tolerates. A lot of guys will tolerate 2, 3, 4, 5 children, a lot of drama, um, past life or past relationship residuals, her own personal past life drama or residuals that have carried over into this life, and she's not really sure where it comes from. Um, he may have to tolerate her mother, who may be just like her, and usually in most cases, the daughter's like the mother. The fruit don't fall that far from the tree. Anyway, this dude has to deal with a lot, and he will, all for the sake of getting his dick sucked, his balls licked, and good pussy and fantasies and whatever else he may be into. Whatever else he may be into, he makes the choice to put up with all of that because of this little area here. But what these ladies have to know that there is a chance that if the drama and everything else that is experienced in the relationship, if it is too intense for him, he may leave. After he experiences his fantasy, his sexual fantasy or fantasies, plural, because people doing a lot these days. So I don't think it's just a sexual fantasy, but it's a sexual fantasies. That's what it is. It's actually sexual fantasy. So it's deference. It's give and take. So for whatever reasons, well, it's not for whatever reason. We know the reasons why they do what they do, but they're willing to do it. They make a choice to do it because they want an experience that they missed out on or didn't get because they were considered a nerd or a good guy, a guy with a head on his shoulders, excuse me. He may have been one of those guys, and therefore neglected, wasn't given play. Usually the guys who are into the Lord, church guys, like in my neighborhood, guys who went to church consistently and dressed up in suits, they were known as good boys. And, the little black females in my community were not interested in those type of guys. They were interested in the dudes who were Crips and Bloods, who were hustlers, cats who were Macs and G's. That's who they were into. Even though these dudes had a history of being no good, those type of dudes were alluring to the females in the neighborhood. And this is not applicable across the board, thank goodness. But for the majority of females, in the hood, and not just the hood. I'm black, so I'm saying hood, but trust me, white guys go through this as well. Hispanic or Latino guys go through this as well. It's across the board. But my experiences growing up in life were in the hood, South Central Los Angeles. And this dynamic that I'm talking about was rampant. So it's 2014, and you got a lot of guys who are now in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they are experiencing the situation whereby they're meeting women who were some bona fide hoes back in the day. They are now found in the Lord, or they may now be into Allah, Hebrew Israelite, what have you. They're into God now. And so therefore, they don't do certain things that they used to do and that thug dudes like, but also that good dudes like, because good dudes are males too. So you have a lot of upset guys. So I'm making this video to say, fellas, there's really no need to be upset. You just have to get your hands on the right resources and work on yourself. You don't have to become a thug or a degenerate or a deadbeat. And I know a lot of guys think about that because it's like, you know what, let me just give her what she wants so I can get what I want, So I'll call her names and pop upside the head and all the stuff that she experienced during those whole days, No, you don't have to do that, But you do have to get with the program, and you got to step up your game, You got to come up on some A game. and you're gonna have to work on that self-confidence and the air of mystery and the humor, and you're gonna have to learn females. You're gonna have to learn males. You're gonna have to learn yourself. You're gonna have to learn females. You're gonna have to learn the rules of dating. You're even gonna have to learn macking skills. You're gonna have to read the books on pimping and being a bachelor, dating, um, one night standing, all of that information. And I'm not saying that you're going to need that information, but it'll help you to understand certain females that you may be dealing with or will probably deal with in the future, who may be a particular female who falls in a category mentioned in one of these books. And I wouldn't say to just stop there, reading books on, the successful bachelor, A game, the alpha male, pimping, macking, the rules of dating, all of that stuff there. I would also suggest that you get some knowledge about male sexual reproductive health, because that's going to be very important, especially if you're in your late 30s, 40s, 50s. A lot of these dudes who also want these type of females, and some of these females still look good and still got their ways. They're just a little reserved now. And if one of these cats actually lands one of these type of females, then they're gonna have to most definitely live up to what these women have experienced in the past. You in your late 30s, 40, 50, your diet is horrible. You may be better than the dudes in the past, but you're not different. As far as diet is concerned, a lot of good guys eat bad, just like so-called bad dudes, and then eating bad takes a toll on the body over time. So yeah, you land this type of female, and she's like, "Okay, daddy, I'll be your hoe, I'll be your freak," but here you are, Mr. Good, and you can't get it up, or you can't last long. You see, so you don't want to just, study and extract information, knowledge, insight from the books on the macking and the pimping and the dating and the rules of courting and all that stuff there. You need some information on male sexual reproductive health. You need some information, some knowledge into tantric sex and Taoist sexual practices, the art of sensual massage. You have to become complete. You have to become complete. And that is the purpose and goal of an ebook I've been working on all year long, entitled The Quintessential Lover. And I'm writing that for males first and foremost. I will write something for women in the future, but right now my energy is on males, how men can become the quintessential lover. And it's a very holistic writing that deals with men taking care of their physical health, mental, spiritual, men working on themselves in the area of alpha maleism, becoming an alpha male, learning the gift of skillful or positive gab, skillful or positive, it deals with a lot, but I'll talk about that more when I'm near a release date. Like I said, I've been working on this book for a whole year. So in closing, fellas, there's really no need to be upset. The resources are out there. Start getting that knowledge, so that you can start attracting those type of women that you desire, so that you can start attracting them sooner rather than later, and so that you can deal with some of this anger. A lot of angry dudes, and what is anger going to do for you? No need to be angry. Get the knowledge and work it, and then you'll have her. And if she's that type of a female, and chances are she is, which is why you're tolerating her and her 3 or 4 or 5 children and everything else that she's coming with, because she's going to bring what you desire. And if she brings it and she does it, it's cool. You got what you desired. You got your fantasy. And it could be short-lived, it could be short-term, or it could be long-term. The most important thing is that you're happy. And ladies, I know y'all gonna take offense at this video. Again, I prefaced this video by stating that it was for men, certain men who the subject matter of this video appertains to. So a lot of you guys will think that it's harsh and rude and sexist and misogynist, are misogynistic. And it's really not the case, well, at least coming from a male perspective. And, you know, we're different creatures, so we think differently. But a lot of males who watch this video will tell you that, you know, it is true. You know, we are men and we want our sex, and we're in a society where, you know, quote unquote bad guys are the ones who are winning and get to find women, the freaky women, and experience the hot butter freaky sex. And they're kings, man. You know, they're kings. And the guys who are quote unquote good guys who end up having to deal with the residues from dealing with those dudes, and the babies that come along, and the financial responsibility, and then having to be the healer to help her heal because her heart is damaged, and she may even have physical problems, gain weight, her hair fell out due to stress, and discharge from the vagina, just all of that. You know, it's a lot. So there you go, fellas. The message here is stop being upset, get the knowledge, apply the knowledge, and work on the mental science, and attract what you desire. Attract what you desire. If a thug do the degenerate, if a social reprobate can attract these type of females and get that experience, so can you. So can you 10, 15, 20 years later. Even though you may be a man of the Lord, you know, you may be prominent in the church, you know, you may be a Muslim now, you may, what have you. What have you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You're a man. You have sexual needs, wants, fantasies, and they can come true. You can attract them to experience them. You have that power. On behalf of thehealthstore.com video subscription service, I am yours truly, the radical, controversial, but Mr. Tell It How and Like It Is, Mr. Always Keep It Real, Keep It 100, as they say, Djehuty Matra. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Peace and love. And stop being upset at these hoes who want to wait for marriage. Get the knowledge and apply it. And then you can bring out old ways to experience before marriage. You don't have to wait for marriage. You have a choice. You can attract her and wait, or you can attract her and experience before marriage. So, peace and love.